Thank you so much at this amazing summit, and for giving me the opportunity to share some of my thoughts and those of my company, The Unseen, for the next 10 or 15 minutes or so. So my name's Richard. I'm the CEO of The Unseen. We are a material innovation, product development and technology licensing company based in London. We're 3 years young, and we like to visualize unseen data in the world around us. And we do that by partnering with the world's most innovative brands in the fashion industries, in the retail industries, in the sportswear industries, to really make a material difference to the world around us. So I'm here today to share with you why I believe technology should be magic. Now, The Unseen is a brand centered around alchemy. And for those of you familiar with alchemy, you'll know that the spelling of magic with a K is in reference to the work of a guy called Aleister Crowley. And that, he had the concept and the idea that magic should be a combination of both science and art to cause or to enact a change. And we really like that kind of idea of coupling science and art and design here at The Unseen. So I'm going to share with you some of my beliefs and also the beliefs of The Unseen with you today. I'm going to do that through kind of telling you a number of different stories and examples of what we do here at The Unseen on a daily basis. So, I'll start by actually playing you this video, which kind of introduces the company.
We believe in a world where pollution is made real when objects expose emissions. Where surfaces recolor at the flip of a switch. A world where you can visualize pain and anticipate illness. Or see the strength within your body. Not just for tomorrow, this world is now. Today, we are creating a more intelligent future, combining science and technology with design. Using color to communicate data. By developing color-changing materials, compounds, and coatings. Responsive to multiple triggers. We offer applications tailored to you in your world. To see is to believe. What will you see?
So we really began, I guess, the essence of the company with a really simple mantra about what not really wanting to be, fashion for fashion's sake. So we really wanted to start, I guess, creating products that, visualized the unseen world around us and, what the traditional senses, so I guess the kind of eyes, the ears, the nose, could not kind of traditionally understand. So one of the first, I guess, compounds that we created here was around pollution. And what we really began to kind of believe and realize was that, if we gave you a book of carbon emissions with a load of facts and figures about your carbon footprint, that might, spark your interest for a moment or two. But what would happen if we could actually visualize in real time the kind of impact of pollution, via color change in a garment? So for example, if we were walking behind a bus or through a crowded city every day, and your garment changed color to indicate kind of really high levels of pollution, we believe that would, cause much more of an emotional connection with the problem, and also with the person itself, and may even invoke, more of a change of action or cause to action. So one of the first technologies that we sought to create was a component that absorbs air pollution, which I'll show you in this video now. So this is a compound in the jacket that absorbs the levels of pollution in the atmosphere, and it actually changes color from yellow to black, as you can see there, to communicate the levels of pollution. So the blacker it goes, the more pollution it kind of absorbs. And then when you take it into kind of a lessly densely area, a polluted area, it actually then begins to start to reverse back to its original yellow. So for us, that was a really simple way of communicating what is, a traditionally very hard kind of message to get across. And so I guess the Unseen was born. We started to center on storytelling and messaging. We really started to think around, how could we get materials into people's hands that let them interact with that material in a more natural way, but alongside the kind of science of that, how should it look, how should it feel? So we began actually in the company to build a creative side of the business, which would work hand in hand with the science or the technology that we were creating and developing. We really started to wonder, how could we tell stories around color and also start to visualize matter in more intuitive ways? What would color mean? What should it mean to our partners? How should that show up inside the material? And so I guess one of the first combinations of science and design for us was actually this garment here that is a color-changing feather garment, actually, which was worn by Kate Moss and shot by Tim Walker. And that, for us, was an incredible moment for a very young company to have such an iconic person and photographer, really start to kind of take notice of our work. For our next technology, we'd actually just completed a piece of work at the time for a Formula One team where we were tracking the aerodynamics around the body of a car. And we started to be really curious and intrigued by that kind of aerodynamic data. And we sought to kind of translate that into a design for a leather sculpture, which you see on the screen now. This actually changes color to visualize the amount of aerodynamic wind chill that is passed across the piece. But again, I guess, we really wanted in the construction of this piece, I guess, to avoid the notion that technology needs to be plastic, with switches and LEDs, but actually technology can be more human, more beautiful, more intricate and kind of handcrafted. So, the leather in this sculpture is all hand cut, and it's completely integrated with the color change technology. And what was really interesting for us is that, without the shape of that design and the way that the leather is cut, it's really that design that is influencing the technology, and the two cannot work unless everything in the design and technology is seamless. This is a collaboration that we did with Swarovski. So this actually visualizes heat patterns across the brain. So it changes color to let you know which areas of your brain are active. So, if you've been to the gym, it will visualize one color pattern. If you're sat down and you're relaxed on the sofa, it will generate a different pattern. and a different color change. You know, the color change and the heat patterns are actually all picked up by, you know, what you're seeing on the screen there is kind of thousands of black spinel gemstones that have been genetically modified to react all in the same way. And we've kind of harnessed them to be superconductive to sense kind of heat and therefore change color. So, you know, admittedly, you know, this doesn't tell you how you're feeling and why you're feeling a certain way, but it does start to indicate and visualize where in your brain is kind of active at a given moment. It's never going to be an MRI scan. It was never intended to be. But, you know, instead of trying to use, you know, we tried to really use, I guess, art and design and science here to communicate the most unseen thing around you, which is, you know, the brain. You know, we wanted to create something that could communicate or help communicate to yourself, but also to others around you to really, you know, help kind of understand what's going on inside. So whereas that previous piece I just told you about kind of visualized where was active in the brain, this piece actually reads your EEG levels. And so this actually will change color based upon your emotional patterns of the human that wears it. So depending on, you know, if you're sad, you'll get one color. If you're anxious, it goes a different color. And we actually launched this many years ago at London Fashion Week. And we did this as kind of therapy sessions. And not surprisingly, everyone that kind of sat and did it actually got red, and red would kind of signified anxiousness, which kind of makes sense at Fashion Week. You know, the calmer that you kind of become and the more meditative you become, it actually starts to change its color to kind of a more white, which you'll see on the screen. It was really interesting because I think for the first time this really allowed people to see themselves through a different lens. And it also actually, for us as a company, opens up some really interesting avenues in the health sector. So, it was, you know, that was a great project for us. This is a project that our kind of creative director and founder kind of presented last year at the UN Summit for World Environment Day at the White House. Now, I'm sure everyone remembers global hypercolor from the 90s. You know, that heat responsive t-shirt that created a very, you know, quick mega trend at the time. What many don't know was that actually global hypercolor was, you know, it's very unsustainable. It was actually quite bad for the environment. So we kind of set about creating something that was today's modern hypercolor. But this is actually a natural recipe. It's open source. It's actually derived from a cabbage dye. So we dyed an organic cotton t-shirt with this compound. And in essence, every time you wash the t-shirt in the water source, it changes its color to indicate the kind of levels of pH in that water source. You know, the levels of pH in the water being a direct, I guess, representation of the amount of pollution in the water around you. So, for example, you know, if it was neutral where it was washed, it would go a purple color, pH 6. Here in London, it kind of went a more bluey color for pH 8. And then as it kind of got a bit more alkaline, it would go to, you know, Iceland's pH 9. So as part of that kind of campaign, we asked explorers to go out and search the world, explore the world, and really create a map of the world's health by visualizing, showing, marketing all of their kind of t-shirts in their water sources, demonstrating all the different colors and the levels of pollution in the water around them. And then last year, we developed color change hair. So we kind of launched this video, and it kind of got 38 million views overnight, and I think it's now on about 70 million views worldwide. The reason I kind of put this in and wanted to kind of talk to you guys about it today is that, you know, I think it's really important that we create kind of science and design that has meaning. But also at times, I think it's really important, you know, just to have fun with this and kind of allow yourself a moment to enjoy that spark of magic. And for us, you know, that kind of hair video was exactly that. It was an opportunity to express ourselves in kind of a fun way.
All right, he's disconnected, but we'd like to thank Richard for